Hello everyone, I'm an enemy champion and I'm going to teach you the basics about custom games in Overwatch 2. First, we'll create a custom game, and you'll see we're in the lobby menu here. We can see the map here on the left, and we can right click to look at the info for it. Right now we have a few different modes available. You can see I'm the creator. We'll exit out of that, and we'll see I'm back in the lobby. I can move myself around on this team, or I can move myself to the other team, and you can see my color changes. That's because this is the attack team on the right, and this is the defense team on the left. We can change the names so that's easier to remember. And now I can also move myself to spectators if I want. When you're a spectator, you can't play in the match, but you can still talk in match chat, while at the same time watching everyone else play in the match. If I want to change the name of the game, we'll change it here. If I want to change who can see this game and join the game, I can change it here. Right now it's at friends only, and I can make it so everyone can play, but I'm going to make it invite only since we're just doing a tutorial. I'll move myself back to being on defenders, and I'll look at the invite option here if I want to invite someone to this, or I can add some AI to play against. Right now, we'll add some casual players. I'll add some tanks. We'll add 3 of them, and we'll put them on the opposite team. I want to have one on my team, so I'll bring it back over. Maybe I'll have 2 on my team, so I'll right click and I'll swap it over. I don't want any bots. Or maybe, you know what, I want to change this one to a support. You can do all that too by just right-clicking. I'm going to remove all the bots now, and we'll go to the settings. In the settings, it looks kind of like a lot, but there's actually just 6 buttons here, and then there's 4 buttons here. We'll look at the left side first. Left side, top left, we have the presets. Inside, you can save any kind of mode that you make, and you can load it in the presets menu. Right now, we have like a bunch of different modes with this little hammer icon, and that means it's a workshop mode. That's a mode that has some code in it. You can see a lot of the base modes are here, so if I wanted to play Control, I could load that preset, or if I wanted to play an arcade game, I could do that as well. So, again, loading the Control preset, we'll see that if we go back to the main menu, I'm now on a Control map. I can change the maps from the bottom left here, and I could just enable one single map. However, maybe I only want to play at night, so I'll turn off the morning one. And now if we go back, you'll see I'm playing Busan at night. I can change lobby settings as well, so I can make it so the map rotates after a mirror match, meaning a team plays defense and then later plays offense. So you can change after a game or after a mirror match, or you can pause it so that the map never changes. You can also make it so that the players never return to the lobby after playing a game. For team balancing, we could make it so it's after a mirror match or after a game that it rebalances the teams to make sure that the teams are relatively even. You can have it swap teams after match, so defense goes to offense and offense goes to defense. You can make it so that there's more defense players and less attack players, but you can never have more than a total of 12 players. You can, however, have less than that. But watch what happens when I go above that. You'll see I can no longer save, I can't share the code, and I can't copy the settings. That's what these top right buttons do. I can also import codes if I want to import something later, and I'll go over more detail what that looks like in a minute. For max FFA players, this only applies if you're playing FFA as a mode. If you're not, you can't change the slider at all, but you can always have more or less spectators. You can allow players who are in queue, for example, playing quick play. They can come and play your custom game while queued up for a game if you want. I'll enable it. And I'll not enable the experimental update. See, experimental updates are when Overwatch developers are thinking about including something and they haven't included it yet and they want people to test it out. I don't really want that for this game, so I'll leave it disabled. Match chat lets anyone in the match join a chat and talk to one another. You can pause the game on player disconnect. I don't want to, but you can for competitive games. It's very useful for that. Data center preference, it's usually best to just leave it as best available, but you can change it if you want. If someone else saves your preset and then loads it up, it will be saved as whatever data center you saved it as. So it's still better to leave it as best available, so that way if they save it, they can still get whatever data center they're at. Over here, we can see if we want only PC players to play this. I don't really care, so I'm going to say no. Oh no, invalid settings, it's not letting me exit out. That's because we have too many attack players, so we'll lower that down. You can see I can have 6 and 6 or the normal 5 and 5 for Overwatch 2. Back here at heroes, we can also disable certain heroes, so you can see all of them are lit up at the moment, but I can disable them and only enable Ana. Ana's now lit up, but let's say I want Ashe, but just for the defenders. We'll turn her on, and you'll see that there's a little icon here. That's because if we go to the attackers, she's off. And if we look here, she's now blue. If we go to the attacker team and we enable Baptiste, you can see he is now red. Going back, we can turn it off and back on. And you can see now there's no longer that icon, and she's lit up wholly again. So everyone can be this character. We can go to the all hero settings and we can affect settings for all heroes, or you can go to specific heroes and edit specific things about them. For example, turning off Ana's no automatic fire or no scope options. Now, for the general settings, it doesn't have all those specifics for each of the characters, but you can change everything for every character in general. If you change something here and change something specific in Ana, for example, if I change cooldowns here to be 0%, meaning no one has any cooldowns, but I make Ana have 173%, she will still have 173% cooldowns in the match, but everyone else will have 0% cooldowns for all of their abilities. So it's general and specific. Specific overrides the general. Over here, we have quick melee. I can disable that so no one can press their melee button and kill me. I can also disable ultimate abilities. I can make it so that they generate a lot faster in general or just in combat, and disable passive. This is additive of each other. So if we have, 200% is 2 times something, if I make it 200% for passive and 200% for ultimate in general, then that's 4 times. If we do 5 and 2, then that's either 7 times or it's 10 times. I don't actually remember the math. All right. If you want to spawn with the ultimate, you can enable that here. You can also set the duration of ultimates and you can make them infinite if you want. So a monkey that uses Primal Rage will always be in Primal Rage. Damage dealt, you can change these numbers here. Damage received is how much you receive. So lower numbers means that you have essentially more health almost. Health itself can be raised here. Healing dealt can be increased, healing received can be increased, and most of these numbers go up to 500%, and the lowest is 10%. However, there are a few things where you can't go above and below that, and there are a few things where you have different limitations than that in general. So this one goes to the lowest of 25% and the highest of 800% for jump vertical speed. That's kind of how much initial momentum. You can think of like an explosion blast initially pushing you off, and then slowly you kind of recover from that momentum. That's what this is like, the jump vertical speed. Gravity, however, is that constant gravity that affects you. So if you want to be treated like you're floating around in space, you can go down to 25%, which is the lowest number here, and it will just kind of let you fly almost constantly. Movement speed, you can go up to 300% or down to 50%. Projectile gravity, if you want projectiles to just fall a lot faster, like Hanzo arrows, they can't shoot as far then, you can do that. You can also make it so that they shoot a lot farther and a lot faster, so it's almost like hit scan, so you could have a hit scan Pharah by increasing the projectile speed. You can make it so everyone's hit headshot only. So like for a Widow 1v1, you might want to have Widow headshots only for the 1v1. You can also disable primary fire. You can make it so that people have way more ammo. You can disable their ammo in general, so they just always have ammo. And then there's specific things like we haven't talked about yet. So no ammunition requirement can still be here, but you can also make it so that Ana doesn't have to use her scope, right? Exiting that and looking back at the modes. For all modes, you can have different things. So I could make it so that no one has to deal with enemy health bars, meaning you don't get to see what the enemy's health is. You just kind of have to guess based on how many times you've hit them. Game mode start, you can make it so that it starts when all slots are filled or immediately or manually. All slots filled or manual is basically the same thing a lot of the time, unless you actually have all of those players in the game, which that's usually pretty rare for custom games for them to always get filled. So most people just go immediately. Now, I'll show you what the difference is. For all slots filled here, you can see I've got a certain number of slots here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 10 total. I'll add some AI, but you'll see that it's not filled totally. So if we start the game right now, you can see I've only got these 2 options. You can see my teammates haven't spawned yet because they actually aren't those characters. So they actually can't spawn right now. And I'm a lot slower because I edited things. But at the top, you can see we're still waiting for players. I can start the game mode now. And you can see now we're in the assemble team. Now, the way I got there is I have a keybind for it, but you can press escape and show lobby and then click start game, which would normally be here. And if you restart the match, you can restart everything. So if I want to make it so that all heroes are enabled, you'll see in the bottom left it says custom game settings are updated, some changes setting, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't start until the next match. So restart match, and we'll see if our teammates spawn. Oh man, look at that. There they are.
There
All right,
are
cool.
no secrets.
So we're still waiting for players because we have that set, but you can change that in the all settings and you can make it so it immediately starts if you want. We'll go back to the lobby so that way we're not in a game anymore. And we'll look back at all these options here for the modes. You can make it so that health packs will respawn a lot later, or you can make it so that they respawn a lot faster. You can also disable kill cams, kill feeds, skins. You can make it so that health packs never spawn. You can make it so that heroes can't switch anymore, and that's good for if you want to have it a random hero mode. You can decide how many limits you want to have for heroes and roles, for example, here. Down here we have random hero role limit. So if you have random heroes enabled, you could have 6 Doomfists potentially, but maybe I only want to have a maximum of 2 random Doomfists, so you can set it here. Respawn time, you can't make it longer, but you can make it shorter. You can make it longer with workshop code, but this isn't going to be a workshop guide, so I'll make that in a series following this. Tank roll passive and health bonus, so this is for like normal roll queue. You can make it so it's always enabled, or you can just disable it. Going to assault, so you can see I can turn it on or off, and if I enable it and I have control as well, and I go to the maps now, you can see I have both assault and control. But if I turn off all the maps except for one assault map, you'll see that the only map available is Hanamura. And if that's the only map available, that means you can only play assault in this custom game. Even though I have that other mode turned on technically because there's no maps for it, I can't play it. If we go to the modes here, you can see I can't turn off this because I have to discard my changes. And that's because this is the only map that's available. However, I can turn off control. Now, if I want to play escort and control and hybrid, you can enable all of these different modes. And there's a bunch of settings for all of them that I'm not going to go over for you guys. But you can check them out and you can edit them as much as you like and try them out and see what happens. Going back to the all modes, we'll go down here and you can see we've covered everything. Going here, we can see we have the workshop as an option. Again, this isn't a workshop guide, but there's a bunch of different things that are available for the workshop. You can create rules. You can make it so that for every player, they can, scale themselves and they can make themselves a lot bigger. You can start scaling their barriers and things like that. I'll make a workshop guide following this, so that way you guys can learn all the basics of how to use the workshop and follow up with that, as well as a lot of niche situations for the workshop. Now, let's say you've just created a custom game, you put a lot of effort into this, maybe hours of work, you want to save a preset now. You can create a new one, or you can override one. So I can override my fish one if I wanted to. And by default, it'll be the name of what your current name of the game is. So if you're here to save a preset, it's name of the game. I can import a code here. So if you see a code that's been shared around, you can import it there. And to share a code, you can create a new one, or you can upload to an existing one you've already shared to. You can copy your settings, and what it does is it creates a bunch of text that you can just copy and paste, and you can edit this text, and you can change information here and then just paste it back in, essentially. To paste it back in, it doesn't show up right now, but if I go back here, you can see it's showed up again. You just have to refresh the page, essentially. So if you want to change the mode name, I can change it to name of the game, and then the description, I like pie. There you go. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. There's also an Overwatch forums page you can ask questions in. I am a solo indie game developer, so you guys can vote on the content that I create, whether it's for videos or video games. So just, let me know what you guys are interested in. Feel free to jump over and join my Discord as well, so you can vote there. Hope to see you guys in future videos. Take care.